Just before we start, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Cantor Cohen is on a well-deserved weekend away at a wedding in, where's she, St. Louis? St. Louis. So we're thrilled to have our music specialist, Annette Kozicki, to help us lead services tonight. And just a reminder to please keep your masks on unless you're up here speaking or singing or leading the service until the oneg, and then once you're seated, or even if you're standing and eating and drinking but kind of in one place, you can remove your mask. But if you're walking around, keep your mask over your nose and mouth if you would. We're going to begin with a nigun. I gotcha.
So it's just yai lai lai. Super easy words. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai lai yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai lai yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Ya la lai 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 yai lai lai. Ya la lai 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 yai lai lai. Ya la lai 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 yai lai lai. Ya la lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai lai yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai.
The words of Shalom Aleichem, they invite angels to come and spend Shabbat with us. Who would you like to spend Shabbat with? Who would you like to sit at your Shabbos table? Who would you like to be sitting in synagogue with right now? Maybe you're sitting with them already for a simcha, anniversary. Isn't it a big anniversary this week with 35 years? 33. I'll give you the extra 2. You're probably dating for that long. Who would you like to be sitting with in synagogue? Maybe they're with you. Maybe they're in your memory. Invite them in. Invite them in like we invite the Shabbos angels in as we welcome Shabbat. We fill this space with love, with memory, with song. Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Leidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh
It's my pleasure to invite the parents of our bar mitzvah and our bar mitzvah Jake, Sidel, Ryan, and Jake, to come up to lead us in a reading before the lighting of the Shabbos candles. The reading's on page 121, but you don't need to read along. Come on up here, guys.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As our brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Don't you think Ryan has the perfect voice for like narration? You know, like it's like when you get that video at Disneyland, it's like, and turn here for magic mouth. So if you'll light the two candles there, and as you do, or in a moment after you do, take the center candle and light the other two. Hanukkah is coming, as any child in my house will tell you. And so we're going to do the candle blessing to the Hanukkah candle tune.
Only because our family has learned it incorrectly.
We celebrate Hanukkah all year round. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I almost said Shel Hanukkah.
No, that was hard for me too.
We're going to turn to page 131, Shir Adonai, Shir Chadash. We sing unto God a new song. Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Miyom. Page 134, Zamru Ladonai, we sing unto God.
Because וכל זמרה זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה.
Remember at the beginning of the service, I invited you to invite angels into your Shabbos home to sit at your Shabbos table. I hope you have extra room, because now we have to invite the bride, the Shabbos bride. So a whole wedding party is coming for Shabbat dinner. We continue, Lecha Dodi, page 138.
דודי לקראת כלה, ידעי, 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 בני שבת, מקבלה, ידעי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, ידעי, 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 בני שבת, מקבלה, ידעי, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד. תחילה לך דודי מכאן כלה ידעי 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 בני שבת נקבלה ידעי לך דודי מכאן כלה ידעי 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 בני שבת נקבלה ידעי מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה ומצאים מתוך הפכה
Verse 5. We rise and face the door to greet the Sabbath bride.
עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה אהוב צהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ידעי, 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 פני שבת.
You can turn back around.
דודי לקראת כלה ידעי 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 בני שבת נקבלה ידעי לך דודי לקראת כלה ידעי 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We'll remain standing. We're going to turn now for Chatzi Kaddish, page 263, and as we do, We want to ask Jake, our bar mitzvah, to join Rabbi Brown on the bimah as they get ready for Jake, and we get ready for Jake to lead the rest of our service. Page 263, Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברכיותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי דרכו בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מעולמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen.
We'll remain standing as we turn to page 264, the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated.
In stereo.
We'll continue with Ma'ariv Aravim, page 265.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim V'choma potea sha'arim uvitvunam mashanei itim umahalif et hazmanim umasader et hakochamim bamish meroteham barakir kirtzonam Bore yom valayla gomel or mipnei hoshe v'hopshe mipnei or umavir yom umavi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzavaot shema El hai v'kayam tamid yimlach aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Amen.
Page 266, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amhavata Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shofeinu uv'chumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha Benizmach b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orach yameinu U'bahem nehageh yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
268.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai b'chol avacha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadarim ha'ela asher anohim mitzevecha hayom alavavecha v'shanantam lavenecha v'tabarta bam v'shitaha v'teha u'laflecha v'dera Ushofecha ukumecha, ushartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha utavtam amezizod beiteha uvishareha leman tiskaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohehem ani Adonai Elohim Asher Hotzehem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lahem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elohim. We can continue responsibly on page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
And we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for peace.
So we have a new tune, not a new tune, an old tune, but a different tune for our Micha Mocha today. We will do our Ma'otzur tune to it because we're almost at Hanukkah. Yay! Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh Nora Tehilot Osef Ele Nora Tehilot Osef Ele Nora Tehilot Osef Ele.
Continue with our prayer of the evening, Hashkivenu, page 271.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen. 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 Amen, amen. Amen,
I had the wonderful experience that I used to have quite frequently, but I hadn't done since before the pandemic, which was I went to Talmud Torah this afternoon to do Shabbat with the kindergarten. Shabbat with the kindergarten is a very sweet part of being a rabbi. First of all, they're so tiny, but they were so adorable. And as I was telling a story, and as kindergartners do, they tend to raise their hand and share just anything that pops into their head. But one girl, she raised her hand and she was so excited she had to just say, "I love Shabbat." I said, "That's so great, that's so wonderful." And her energy is just so pure and precious, and I think that there's something so wonderful that we often learn from kids, and whether it is just the ability to say what's in our heart or the ability to just describe what we're excited about is really a gift and a blessing, and we all love Shabbat. Shabbat is such a beautiful gift in our Jewish lives, and so as we join together in Vishamru, maybe we can have a little bit of that kindergarten spirit inside of us as we think about how much we love Shabbat.
Exactly. You might not know this tune, because I wrote it, but you might know it. Anyway, I'm going to teach it to you. It's going to start with the Ya Lalai. Ya Lalai, 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 Ya Lalai. Let's try it again. Ya Lalai, Ya Lalai, Ya Lalai, Ya Lalai. Shabbat, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם בריד עולם, בני ובני ישראל, אותי לעולם, בני ובני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם בריד עולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם בריד עולם. יא לי, יא לי לי, יא לי, יא לי לי, יא לי, יא לי לי, יא לי, יא לי לי.
Invite everyone to please rise as we join in the Amidah, beginning on page 274 with Jake leading us Avot Ve'imahot.
Baruch atah Adonai, Elohei v'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zoher Hasdei Avot v'Iyamot, Umevi Gula Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umashia Umagin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Zarat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mehaye Metim Atarev Loshia, Mashiv Harua Umarid Hagashem, Mehalhel Hayim Behesed, Mehaye Metim Berachamim Ramim, Somech Noflim Verope Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mihamoha be'al gevurot umedomela. Melememit umekaye umatzmiya Yeshua. Ve'ne'aman ata lehot metim. Baruch ata Adonai mehaye hametim.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Okay. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. So we turn now to page 277 at the bottom of that page. Kadshenu.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Ritzei v'mnuchatenu, Kadshenu v'mitzvotecha, V'tein chelkeinu v'toratecha, Sabeinu mituvecha, V'samcheinu b'shuvatecha, V'taher libenu, V'taher libenu, V'taher libenu le'avdecha be'emet, V'taher libenu, V'taher libenu, V'taher libenu le'avdecha be'emet. V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava v'ratzon Shabbat kodshecha, ve'yanuchu v'Yisrael mekadshe shmecha. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. So the parashah this week, the Torah portion that we read, the Shabbat that Jake will chant from tomorrow, is Parashat Vayetze, and it begins with that very, very famous scene of Jacob's dream and the ladder with the angels going up and down. And it has within that story one of my favorite verses of Torah, where when Jacob wakes up from his dream, he says, Achen yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh v'anochi lo yadati. Surely God was in this place and I didn't even know it. That until he had had this dream, even though he was in the same place where he had gone to sleep, when he woke up, something was different. And it wasn't the place itself, but it was him. It was his perspective and his eyes. He had a sort of enlightenment that he was able to see things differently and see the holy all around him. There's this idea in Judaism about awareness of where we are in relationship to others, in relationship to place, in relationship to God. And we all strive to have more of that sense of awareness in our lives. And when we do, it causes us to give thanks, to acknowledge, like Jacob did in that moment, that there is something spectacular around us all the time. And so we'll join together in these words of gratitude. Ve'al kulam, it's the middle of page 281.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu, tamid le'olam va'ed. Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu, tamid le'olam va'ed. V'chol ha'chaim yoducha sela, v'halelot shimcha be'emet, Ha'el Yeshuateinu be'ezrateinu sela, Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha, ulecha na'eh leodot.
Our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, page 282.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Take a few moments now for the prayer of our heart, moment of silence. I invite you to turn ahead to page 371. The middle of that page is our Mishaberach, a prayer of healing, as we bring into our hearts the names of our loved ones and our extended Temple Shalom community of people who are in need of healing of body and of spirit. And I invite you, after I read the name of those on our list, if there are other people you are thinking of, you'll have an opportunity to share their names as well. We pray for refuah, for healing for Jean Angus, Robert Calwas, Bob Fanning, Brian Gaffroer, Mil Karp, Maury Dozer, Avram Sudak, Rayanne Brackett, Odin Zatzik, Arnold Konevsky, Daniel Gottesman, Mark Baton, Merle Granberg, Yehudit Bat Avraham Vasara, Dina Mandel, Ralph Schulman, Basil Kalner, David Goldstein, Howard Diamond, Isabel, Judy Steiner Lossberg, Alana James, Dr. Dimitri Zanazin, Shana Stowicki, Sanford Cohen, Sarah Bat Avraham Vasara, Igor Ilyasov, Ed Ozer, David Shlomo Gorny, Andrea Jarzbiak. If there are other names to add, I invite you to rise and share them aloud at this time. We join together with Annette in our Misha Berach.
Shabbat Shalom. A few announcements before our speaker this evening, and I guess the first announcement, as Rabbi Brown is pulling the screens down, is that our speaker is not able to be here in person. She found out just before Shabbat, yesterday I guess, that she needed to be with family for, there's a family simcha, and she wasn't sure she'd be able to go. And so she's able to be there for that. And so she came in early yesterday morning, and we recorded her talk. And so we will use our screens, and we've never done this before, and we'll see how it goes. But it's a privilege to be able to have her to speak, and I'll introduce her in a moment. So let me draw your attention, if I can, to our handout. If you got one as you came in, for some of the events that are going on at the synagogue this week. First of all, again, a mazel tov to Jake and to his whole family on his bar mitzvah. That's it. Give him a good elbow in the ribs. There you go. 2 elbows in the ribs. Tomorrow morning service begins at 10 a.m., where Jake will be called to Torah. Torah study is at 8:30 tomorrow online, if you'd like to join us via Zoom. This Saturday night, I'm super excited about this. Tomorrow night, I think it's the first big social event congregational social event. I mean, there was Levi's bar mitzvah, but congregational social event since the beginning of the pandemic. And it is Nearly Kneel, a sisterhood fall fundraiser. They make a little bit of money, but they make a lot more fun. It's a Neil Diamond tribute band. So come join us for that. I think you can still register. That's here at the synagogue tomorrow night. I know Sharon and I are looking forward to it. That's at 7 o'clock.
Bid on our silent auction online. It's on a website. It's a really easy place to bid. There's lots of hockey tickets and cool stuff, so go check it out. I'm sure there's a link on the website.
There you go. There's the plug. Our next Shalom Shishim afternoon takes place on Tuesday, November 16th at 1 o'clock. We're going to have a Hanukkah party, so please be sure to register for that. That's just the afternoon games, excuse me. The Hanukkah party is later in the month on November 30th. Cantor Cohen and Amy Gilbert have put together a concert. We're going to take that show on the road and take it to the Louis Breyer as well, and be doing a concert for all the residents at the Louis Breyer, or Cantor Cohen and Amy will be doing there. In enough difficulty, if I were to lead that service and sing, it would be unfortunate and quite painful, I think. Our sisterhood choir has begun their rehearsals. That begins on November 16th. Our men's club has a talk on Wednesday night, the 24th, with Professor Your parents are doubly proud on Churchill and India and the complicated relationship that they have with each other. So Dr. Friedrichs will be sharing that via Zoom at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, the 24th. We yesterday had a Shabbat morning, well, not Shabbat morning, I guess a Thursday morning service here for Noah Lewis, who grew up in our congregation. His parents grew up in our congregation. His father did a number of generations. And so we had a Thursday morning bar mitzvah. You were there. And as part of our Remembrance Day service and ceremony, as part of that service, we paused, as we will do tonight, for the playing of the last post in a moment of silence. Remembrance Day is one of those things now as a Canadian citizen I appreciate even more, but even when I got here, I remember my first Remembrance Day here, we were looking at the newspaper back when we used to get a newspaper. Remember newspapers? And like, where are all the Veterans Day sales? Where are all the Memorial Day barbecues? Because that's what it was like in the United States. Really, yeah. And here it wasn't that at all. We went downtown to the Cenotaph. We stood in the rain, because it's Vancouver. We watched rows upon rows of veterans and young cadets marching through the streets, honoring the memory of those who had fallen, honoring the service of all of those who have served in defense of justice and freedom. And it was truly awe-inspiring. And honestly, except for yesterday, and COVID, we hadn't missed one of those parades someplace around the city in the 9 years that we have been here. And so it is particularly special for us in our congregation to be able every year, as we have tried to do, to invite a Jewish veteran or active member of the Canadian Forces to speak to our congregation, both about their experience as being a Jew in the Canadian Forces and also to reflect on their service and exactly the role that they play. For years and years, Alan Kay, a blessed memory, served that role. Alan served in Burma in World War II, and he died during this past year and was not able to be with us last year because of COVID, and then this year he's not with us as well, though his memory is here. And Alan always reminded us of the greatest generation and the sacrifices that they made so that the world could be in freedom and in liberty. But we're reminded also, as we'll hear from Dr. Tuka in just a moment, as Lieutenant Colonel Tuka in just a moment, of the other greatest generation. And that's the generation that has been serving in the longest wars that, at least in modern times, that one can remember, a war that, I guess, just ended this past year, and that is Afghanistan, where Lieutenant Colonel Tuka served in theater there. She is, as you hopefully read in the handout and the instructions, she is not only a Jewish service member and an immigrant to Canada, but also responsible for the mental health of our soldiers and, in fact, leading that program. I want to thank Harry Karlinski for bringing Lieutenant Colonel Tuka to our attention. Harry, thank you very much. She's a member at Shard Tzedek, yes? I think that's what she had said. Both. Here and there. I feel that way all the time. And are these on? I think they are. And so I was privileged to hear her talk yesterday morning, and I think we all will be. Following her talk, we'll rise. Following her talk, I'll read In Flanders Fields, and then we'll rise for the playing of the last post. Hopefully, this is going to work.
Okay.
I've got no picture.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, for the invitation. It is a great honor to participate in the Remembrance Day ceremony at Temple Shalom.
I'm going to go back. Ira, do we got pictures? We have nothing on the screen when I played that. I want to check the view and make sure we may not have assigned the proper theme. We got it now. Okay. And we think we've got a picture there? Here we go.
Okay.
Nothing.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, for the invitation.
Going back again. What do you think now? This is why I'm often jealous of my traditional colleagues that don't use technology on Shabbat. We're going to make sure that the projectors are on. Did Did you set the look to both rooms? Yeah. Oh, we got something. Okay, good. We're good. Okay, now we got them. This should work.
Okay.
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi, for the invitation. It is a great honor to participate in the Remembrance Day ceremony at Temple Sholom, and I apologize for not being able to join you in person. To begin with, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Alan Kay, a World War II veteran who shared his thoughts with the congregation on Remembrance Day year after year until he passed away in 2020. My name is Andrea Tuka, and I'm a military psychiatrist in the Canadian Armed Forces, currently posted in Vancouver. I am the National Psychiatry Practice Leader and Psychiatry Advisor to the Surgeon General. I also oversee the provision of mental health care for the Canadian Armed Forces personnel stationed in British Columbia. When I came to Vancouver from Hungary 26 years ago, it seemed impossible to integrate into the Canadian medical community as a young physician with a foreigner medical degree. I felt fortunate that the Canadian Armed Forces accepted me and sponsored my postgraduate training at UBC in family practice and then in psychiatry. During my military career, I have served first in Edmonton at an Army base, then in Victoria at the Navy base. I was deployed to Afghanistan twice, to Kabul in 2004 and to Kandahar in 2010. Although I have administrative duties, I am foremost a clinician. As a psychiatrist, when I meet a new patient, a soldier, sailor, airman, or airwoman, one of my first questions is, why did you enroll to the military? Almost always, I hear one of these answers. I want to serve my country. I want to contribute. I want to be part of something bigger. I also hear that I want to continue a family tradition, serving in the military. I want to get an education, or I want to see the world. These answers suggest that these young people were full of ambition, with a desire to learn, to grow, and earn a living by belonging to the military's unique culture. However, the journey with the military is often fraught with challenges and hardships, separation from family, friends, and the safety of their home and community, working unpredictable and draining hours, moving frequently, causing disruptions in well-established living circumstances, and at times being stationed in isolated, small communities. The members of the military can be called upon at any time on very short notice to provide support and relief from natural disasters, such as forest fires, floods, or earthquakes. These tasks often send our soldiers to far-flung corners of our country and remote and underdeveloped areas of the world. Due to the current pandemic, hundreds of military members assisted within the long-term care facilities in Ontario and Quebec. For a soldier in the Canadian Armed Forces, the ultimate task is to participate in a deployment, in a peacekeeping mission or armed conflict, with the hope of improving the lives of others by bringing peace and stability. This job is not an easy one. The deployment experiences can be life-changing, many times in a positive way, but often in negative ways. Despite the continuous efforts to improve mental fitness and increase resiliency, the stress and trauma can overwhelm the coping capacity of our soldiers. As the modern military missions became increasingly complex, it is now more common that soldiers have to make decisions in life and death situations under intense time pressure, being exposed to traumatic events that violate their core ethical beliefs or deeply held values. These beliefs and values are often intrinsically associated with one's religious or spiritual identity. At times, these stressful experiences can continue to haunt the soldiers' lives and can change the way they view themselves, others, and the world. In more severe instances, even the meaning in life can be lost. It is not easy to talk about those experiences and the associated feelings, which are frequently tied with guilt and shame, besides worries and fear. Help is available and accessible, and I value the role that I play in assisting my fellow soldiers. However, treatment is not always straightforward. In many instances, it requires months, sometimes years of comprehensive care. Now research shows that a holistic treatment approach, which integrates the traditional treatment modalities with spiritual and religious principles and practices, can also support healing and recovery. In particular, confession and perceived forgiveness from a higher power can lead to self-forgiveness, which is a critical component of the healing process. The 700 Jews who currently serve in the regular force have access to 6 Jewish chaplains, military rabbis, who can play an indispensable role in helping soldiers to find the path of healing. On November 11th, we remember the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and airwomen who sacrificed their life on the battlefield. We also remember those who lost hope and lost their own battle in fighting to overcome the psychological challenges they faced. We also recognize and thank families, friends, and civilian colleagues whose contribution make our continuous service possible. Families are a vital part of the Canadian Armed Forces, and without their support, no mission can be accomplished. Therefore, I want to end by thanking my family, both in Canada and Hungary, for supporting me for more than 21 years of service. Shabbat Shalom.
It's my pleasure to invite Mike Levitt, a member of our congregation, to come forward to read in Flanders Field, and then we'll rise for the playing of the last post.
Thanks. In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Lieutenant John McCrae, who wrote this poem, was a Canadian poet, physician, and soldier in World War I. Sadly, McCrae died of pneumonia near the end of the war. And this poem also inspired the poppies that we wear, first made in 1921. This is the 100th year centenary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So I'll ask you please to rise. Remain standing as we turn at our prayer books to page 586 and continue with Aleinu.
Leinu leshabech ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, משה וקרא בשמיים ממעל, שכינתו זו בגובה מרומי. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני
A reading before the mourner's Kaddish, page 583. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week, these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could rise here or at home so that we can join you in your memory of them. Fred Brower, Helene Davis, Faye Manis. And those for whom the yortzeit of your loved one falls on this Shabbat, if you too could rise here or at home and remain standing so that we might comfort you in our midst. Lottie Ames, Thomas Edgar Blum, Bobby Cairns, Sharon Chirkover, Helen Cherry, Michael Conrad, Ruth Davis, Sarah Dine, Bill Durpak, Harry Dunbar, Joseph Ehrlich, Nellie Friedrichs, Betty Brindle Gelfand, Sarah Gelhorn, Sonia Givamachter, Melanie Gold, Alan Lawrence Goldberg, Eileen Goldberg, Hans Schmuel Gruenthal, Irma Gordon, Alex S. Gaimate, Rosalie Harden, Peter Cantor, Igor Kaplan, Rita Katz, Beverly Klein, Morton Kanazin, Dorothy Leffert, Mila McGill, Rhonda Mandelman, Betzalel Mondlik, Benjamin Moyles, Ann Nyman, Jack Ozer, Nancy Paris, Elizabeth Rakin, Pearl Rosenbaum, Meyer Rotem, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Shindle Shapira, Benjamin Sheftel, Edna Lee Shanker, Lou Simpkin, Esther Stefan, Victoria Twombly, Mildred Valentine Weinstein, Ann Winter, Shmuel Zeberman. If there are any names I've missed or mispronounced, if you could rise and share the name of your loved one in the midst of our congregation. We look around our kahal, we see those who have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone. So we rise now, providing the comfort of our presence as we recall all of those who died in defense of freedom and justice, those victims in terror of this land, the land of Israel and around the world, and those who died in the Shoah and the Holocaust. There was no family left to remember them. We recall them for blessing as well. The Kaddish prayer is on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayeh l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agalah v'zman karim v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shama rabba min shemaya, le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu. Elal kol min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiron be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, u'ya asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. So we're going to remain, what are we going to do? We're going to do Kiddush first, I think. No, we're going to sing a song and then do Kiddush. You can be seated. It's been a pleasure, Annette, to share the Bima with you this evening. As we conclude our service, a reminder, please join us for our Oneg following the service sponsored by the family. Please keep your masks on unless you're actively eating or drinking. And if you are, if you can be seated while you're doing that, that's terrific. If not, if you could just try to keep some social separation, That would be great. Annette?
Yeah. Say shalom.
Say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Aseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen.
So it's a pleasure to invite our bar mitzvah to come join us over here for a kiddush and a motzi. Page 1, and Mom's coming too. So Sidel's going to do it with him. So over on this podium down here. Page 121, the long one for Shabbat, yes.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם וכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי וקודש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. No, that's the wrong one. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'achava v'ratzon hinhilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh, zeher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu b'harta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshaha, ve'ahava u'ratzon, Hinhatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Hashem.
L'chaim. There's a lot of Baruch atah Adonais in there. One more Baruch atah Adonai. Underneath, you got to lift the cover. See what you got there. What could it be? Could be anything. It's always a challah, though. It's a challah.
Hamotzi lehem min haaretz.
Amen. Take a piece. Shabbat Shalom. Services tomorrow, 10 a.m. Shabbat Shalom.